This is Mexico City, July 14th, where the fallout to the country's controversial presidential election rages on. Although world leaders from Barack Obama to Hugo Chavez have recognized his victory, the election of Institutional Revolutionary Party candidate Enrique Peña Nieto is being fiercely contested on the nation's streets. The victory of the Institutional Revolutionary Party, or PRI, marks a return of the party that governed Mexico for 71 years in the 20th century. Ruling the country as a de facto dictatorship, the PRI became notorious for corruption, repression, and the neoliberal reforms of the 1980s that have hamstrung the Mexican economy ever since. Student protesters, along with defeated leftist candidate Andrés Manuel López Obrador, point to widespread evidence of vote buying, illegal campaign spending, stolen ballots, and threats as a way of imposing Peña Nieto on the electorate. Leftist López Obrador, better known as AMLO, has challenged the result before the country's electoral tribunal of the federal judiciary, but is unlikely to see the election overturned. This is a throwback to 2006, when AMLO, a populist who ran on a social democratic platform and whose party has governed Mexico City for the past 15 years, lost by just 0.5% of the vote to the National Action Party's Felipe Calderón. This year, his defeat to Peña Nieto officially came by a 6.5% margin, or some 3.4 million votes. Since May, the so-called Yo Soy 132 movement, led by students from around the country but drawing support from a much wider section of the population, has been protesting what it calls the imposition of Peña Nieto as president. The PRI candidate was heavily backed by Mexico's corporate media, and since July 1st, Yo Soy 132 has also collected evidence of countless electoral abuses through videos, photos, and personal testimonies. On Sunday, the movement announced a new series of protests against the media, electoral authorities, President Felipe Calderón, and the PRI between now and December, when Enrique Peña Nieto takes office. What brought you here today?
I'm here because as a Mexican citizen, I'm concerned because this election, the PRI didn't win. They did use a lot of illicit methods, and the whole Mexican people want to express their rejection to Enrique Peña Nieto because we don't want the PRI to hold power back in Mexico.
What do you think his victory means for Mexico for the future?
We are going to go backwards. There is no future with this party. They ruled already for 75 years, and they did nothing good for the people. We want the IFE, the authorities, to clean the election because Enrique Peña Nieto didn't win, and I think the whole world needs to know this.
Vengo más que nada a ver cómo está la gente, ¿no? La conciencia, qué es lo que estamos apoyando, cuáles son las causas también y apoyar también, ¿no? Lo que pasa en México es muy importante porque se están acabando, están vendiendo el país realmente, ¿no? Necesitamos otro plan de gestión a todos nuestros recursos también marinos y a la política realmente en México.
¿Y qué opinas de lo que pasó en la elección hace 2 semanas?
Es un sistema muy arcaico, el IFE es un sistema muy arcaico y necesitan eso, ponerlo, pues actualizar todo ese sistema porque hubo muchas irregularidades.
Peña Nieto, ¿qué opinas de él como político, como presidente?
Pues no me gusta porque otra vez regresa el PRI, ¿no? Regresa la gente que nos tuvo siempre enlelados con toda su porquería, con toda la televisión y pues va a ser lo mismo, nos van a querer manipular. Obviamente pues mucha de esta gente pues no está conforme, ¿no? Y no queremos eso, o sea, que nos manipulen.
¿Por qué viniste a la marcha hoy?
Bueno, porque pienso que todos tenemos que apoyar, todos los que estamos en desacuerdo contra la imposición y que creemos que ya basta de comicios sucios que no dicen la verdad, por eso.
¿Y qué piensa de lo que pasó en esta elección?
Pues pienso que ha sido positivo el hecho de que han hecho las cosas tan mal y que han hecho tantas cosas negativas para la patria y para ellos mismos, que ya todo se rebasó su capacidad de silenciar su propia moral. Entonces, pues creo que eso es positivo para nosotros porque finalmente más gente se está dando cuenta de cómo es realmente el gobierno mexicano.
¿Y cómo ves Peña Nieto como presidente?
Pues espero que no llegue a ocupar ese cargo porque además sería el segundo presidente espurio de México. Bueno, antes de tantos más, ¿no? Entonces creo que sería muy malo para el país, espero que no llegue.
While calling itself the Institutional Revolutionary Party, the PRI is a neoliberal party in all but name, and will likely continue with the same policies of economic liberalization that were commonplace under the past 12 years of National Action Party or PAN rule. Tellingly, the right-wing PAN got trounced in this election, as unemployment, poverty, crime and insecurity all increased under their watch. Peña Nieto has already expressed his willingness to work closely with the United States on issues such as trade and security, which means the strengthening of the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, and the further opening up of the Mexican economy. While the elite and upper middle class gets richer, poverty is actually growing in Mexico, which is now ranked as the country with the second highest inequality in the OECD. 52 million people, or 46% of the population, are officially classed as poor, 12 million of those in extreme poverty. As for security issues, the PRI will likely continue with the militarization of Mexico under the auspices of the drug war, which has left as many as 60,000 people dead in the last 5.5 years. Washington part funds this strategy through the $2 billion and growing Merida Initiative, created under George W. Bush and dragged out by Obama. In short, although there is talk of a pre-government returning Mexico to the dark old days, what's most likely is the entrenchment of neoliberal economics and a deepening role for the US in the country's national security affairs. As much of Latin America swings towards the left and greater independence from Washington, Mexico remains firmly within its orbit of influence. Peña Nieto, should his victory stand, will be sworn in on December 1st. Meanwhile, there promises to be one hell of a summer of protest ahead.